Blockbuster versus Netflix, the decision that killed a giant. In the year 2000, Blockbuster was worth $5 billion. Netflix was a tiny startup losing money, mailing DVDs in red envelopes, run by a man most executives have never even heard of. Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores worldwide. Netflix had fewer than 1 million subscribers. And in that year, Netflix walked into Blockbuster's headquarters and offered itself for sale for $50 million. Blockbuster laughed. Netflix walked out, and history quietly locked into place. This is the story of a single decision that destroyed Blockbuster, and why it wasn't stupidity or ignorance or technological blindness that killed them. It was certainty. Blockbuster did not fail because it missed the internet. It didn't fail because its executives were old or lazy or incompetent. And it didn't fail because Netflix was some uniquely brilliant outlier. Blockbuster failed because it optimized perfectly for a world that was already ending. In the late 90s, Blockbuster's business model was brutally efficient. Customers drove to physical stores, they rented DVDs, and most importantly, they paid late fees. Late fees alone accounted for nearly 16% of Blockbuster's total revenue, hundreds of millions of dollars every year. The company wasn't just renting movies, it was monetizing human forgetfulness. People didn't hate Blockbuster enough to stop using it. They hated it just enough to complain. And complaints don't kill businesses. Structural changes do. Netflix's model attacked that structure at its core. Netflix didn't charge late fees. Netflix didn't require physical stores. And Netflix didn't depend on customers driving somewhere at all. Netflix was building a system optimized for convenience. Blockbuster was defending a system optimized for control. When Netflix CEO Reed Hastings pitched Blockbuster, the offer wasn't just an acquisition proposal, it was an early warning. Hastings suggested that Netflix could run Blockbuster's online division while Blockbuster focused on its retail empire. $50 million would have been pocket change for Blockbuster. But accepting the deal would have required that Blockbuster executives did something that they were deeply uncomfortable with, that the future might not look like the present, and they just couldn't do it. From Blockbuster's perspective, Netflix looked small, fragile, and niche. Most American households didn't even have broadband yet. Streaming wasn't viable. DVDs by the mail seemed slow and inconvenient. Why abandon a system that was still making money? That question, why fix what isn't broken, is where organizations die. Inside Blockbuster, incentives pointed in one direction, backwards. Store managers were evaluated on in-store performance. Franchise owners depended on foot traffic. Executives were rewarded quarterly results and not long-term disruption. An online model didn't just threaten revenue, it threatened status, power, and identity. Late fees weren't just money, they were leverage. They trained customers to behave in predictable ways. They forced returns, they drove repeat visits, and they justified the existence of thousands of retail locations and tens of thousands of employees. Netflix removed all of that friction. From Blockbuster's point of view, Netflix's model wasn't just risky, it was undisciplined. No penalties, no urgency, no control. But what Blockbuster didn't see was that customers didn't want discipline, they wanted relief. By the mid-2000s, the cracks began to widen. DVD sales plateaued, foot traffic slowed, customer frustration grew louder. Netflix, meanwhile, refined its logistics, its recommendation engine, and its subscription model. It wasn't flashy, it was methodical. Netflix didn't need stores, it didn't need penalties, it needed patience. And that's when the real inflection point came, streaming. Netflix didn't pivot to streaming because DVDs were failing. DVDs were still profitable. Netflix pivoted because streaming would eventually make DVDs totally irrelevant. And Reed Hastings understood something that most leaders don't. If you don't cannibalize your own business, someone else will. So Netflix accepted short-term pain for long-term survival, and Blockbuster didn't. Blockbuster eventually did launch Blockbuster Online, but it was always defensive, always secondary, always constrained by the retail model it was supposed to protect. Store managers resisted it, franchise owners lobbied against it, executives hesitated to fully fund it. Every internal incentive punished success. A successful online platform meant fewer store visits. Fewer store visits means less late fee revenue. Less late fee revenue means admitting that the model was dying. So Blockbuster chose protection over transformation. By the time Blockbuster eliminated late fees entirely, the move came way too late. Customers didn't forget the resentment, and Netflix had already trained them to expect something better. By 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. Netflix didn't just survive, it dominated. Today, Netflix is worth over $200 billion. Blockbuster only exists as a logo and nostalgia memory. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Blockbuster had more money than Netflix. They had more data, more customers, and more leverage. But what they lacked was the willingness to abandon certainty. Blockbuster trusted stores. Netflix trusted trends. Blockbuster trusted revenue streams, and Netflix trusted behavior. Blockbuster trusted what worked yesterday, and Netflix trusted what would matter tomorrow. Once Blockbuster declined that acquisition, the collapse wasn't immediate, but it was definitely inevitable, and they were at the point of no return. This is why the Blockbuster story matters, because this pattern isn't rare. Organizations don't usually collapse because they're blind or stupid. They collapse because they see clearly, but they see through the wrong frame. Governments cling to outdated doctrines, militaries defend obsolete platforms, corporations protect legacy revenue, and individuals cling to identities that just no longer fit. Not because change is inevitable, but because it's psychologically expensive. Change requires admitting that the past success no longer guarantees future survival, and that admission can feel like defeat. Blockbuster didn't lose because it failed to adapt fast enough. It lost because adapting fully would have required destroying the thing that made it successful. And most intuitions, like most people, would rather decline slowly than kill a version of themselves that once worked. This is the real decision that killed Blockbuster. And that same decision is being made again, right now, by someone who believes that they still have time.